you got to wake up. You have to wake up and start living life, not shutting out this whole other part of you, actually the majority of you, and start living a true life. Start living in your true spirit. Because continuing to close all of that off, I think, was silently killing me. And that, like I said, that's a really common story. I hear so much about that when I'm listening to people in this space and in this realm where they've gotten out of the corporate world, they've gotten out of a bad whatever, marriage, they've had therapy or they've cured themselves over relationship issues or whatever it is, that we're shutting off parts of ourselves that need to be healed, that need to, live fully. Again, it's that inner work and that outer work. When you start doing that on yourself, you're like, wait a minute, I'm causing a lot of this. But that's what it feels like. It feels like I have been shaken awake by, this experience that I went through, and I can't go back to sleep. I can no longer sleepwalk through my life and live this half life that I've been living.
Join me, 'cause I'm seeking sunshine, 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 I'm seeking sunshine.
Welcome to Seeking Sunshine, Do What Lights You Up, a podcast for passionate, creative moms who are ready to live their best life and be their full, lit-up selves while being amazing moms, because it's possible to be both. It turns out that you don't have to lose yourself in motherhood, and I'm here to show you how. This is Seeking Sunshine 2.0 because we are no longer focusing on the problems, but on the solutions. It's your turn to shine. Welcome to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here today. I love it when you come listen to my show because podcasting it's my favorite thing to do. And today's episode, ooh guys, it's so good. Today's episode, I know that they're all amazing because, they really are. They really are all so amazing. But today's is one you're just gonna feel so lifted. Okay, this is one of those conversations that is going to make your whole day better. So much better. But before I get into introducing my incredible guest, I wanted to see how you're doing. I wanted to see how life is going for you, because life likes to get lifey and we go through these ups and downs and things get crazy and then they get good. And what I have been noticing a lot lately is that something will be hard and then I will realize my limiting belief that's kind of going on underneath the surface of the hard thing. And then I have to grow through it, which that kind of growth journey is really it's a stretching. It's a kind of painful, oh, that's where I'm getting in my own way. That's where I'm stuck. That's where, that's the thing. And then I work on myself and I do the whole self-development. How do I get better? And then I get to the other side and I'm like, oh, I'm a better person now. I'm like a better human on the other side of that hard thing. Oh, now I get to shine brighter because I went through the hard thing. So that seems to be a pattern that I'm noticing in my life. And so the thing I'm going through at this exact second is that I have a competition tomorrow, and I've been realizing lately how I get really competitive and bogged down in like I put all my eggs in the basket of winning, and then I feel like I'm not good enough and I feel like I have to win, and it's this whole like thing. Well, I've just really been battling this demon lately, and it's a journey, isn't it? Like this whole life and all the things we're going through. And my point is just this, that we're here to grow and we're here to learn. And the more that you learn about yourself, the better that you become. So never stop learning about yourself. And then the last thing I want to tag on to here is that, by golly, which I never say that, but I'm going to say it now. By golly, I'm so grateful for Magic Mind, because I started my day off like I'm feeling stuck as I prepare for my competition, and like I need inspiration, and I'm feeling like I don't know. I was all scattered and tired, and then I took my Magic Mind supplement, and now I'm like, yes, game on. I'm like prepped and ready. Like, what? So set, so ready. Like, all the inspiration is flowing. I took my Magic Mind, and I'm like focused and ready to like do this thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I love this supplement so much, because I'm like, I know exactly what to do now. It like honed my attention right on in there. So anyways, that is the thing that I was going to mention, was that I freaking love Magic Mind. Go check out the show notes, because there's a link in there where you can get a discount on it. So my guest today is the fantastic Jen Underwood. She is such a good friend of mine, and you're gonna adore this conversation. We talk about working a corporate job and trying to stay true to your creative soul and your essence, and how hard that is when you're such a deeply like passionate, loving soul. And we talk about so many different topics, but we talk about loving yourself, of course, because we always talk about that, but we talk about what we're doing with our lives and how we want to, inspire our kids to live better, but are we really living that ourselves? We talk about waking up from living, our lives like we're sleepwalking. It's such a good episode, so I don't want to give it all away. Jen Underwood has spent 20 plus years working in a basement, hiding her true gifts and passions from the world, and it wasn't until the last couple of years, when she was writing a book to her son for his 18th birthday, that she realized she wasn't living a life of passion and purpose. She set about to change that by starting a podcast called Shake Me Awake to share her journey of finally waking up to her true potential. She wants to take others on this journey with her, and she's working on her coaching certificate to become a certified life coach and a digital course on crafting a written legacy for your children. Jen works full-time, has 2 teenagers and a pug, and way too many hobbies. Don't we all? She loves thrifting, sewing, reading, writing, watching the same movies over and over, making lists, journaling, manifesting, buying office supplies, and coming up with new ideas for businesses that she'll never have time to start. And she is one of the most incredible human beings, and you are just gonna fall in love with her when you hear this conversation. So, welcome, Jen. Well, hi, Jen. I'm so excited to have you today on the Seeking Sunshine podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to be here. And I don't know when this will air, but happy Valentine's Day today.
Thanks. Happy Valentine's Day to you too. So I'm really excited to hear. We have so much in common, and I'm so excited for everyone to get to hear your story and how just amazing you are, and how far that you've come over the last, I mean, especially the last like 6 months, as like we've gotten to know each other. You've just like exploded with your growth, and like, oh, I'm so excited to hear your story. So if you want to just like dive in and start telling us about where you've been for the last, what, 20 years, I think it's been,
Yes.
and like how you're just plowing ahead. It's been incredible.
Yes. So I have been hiding in a basement for 20 years. Literally. That's actually, the kind of the start of my story is that I have spent the last 20 plus years hiding in a literal basement in my job, in government. It all sounds very, super secret spy stuff, which is fun. I do have a really awesome, fun job. I'm actually still in it. I have what is known as what do they call it? Like a golden chains or something like
Handcuffs.
that. Yeah, a golden
Yeah.
handcuffs. Thank you, golden
Yeah.
handcuffs. Um, I do. I have a pension waiting for me, which I am extremely grateful for, because I think that so far has afforded me a lot of opportunity, and a lot of ability to kind of play around in this whole business arena without feeling so tied to, oh my gosh, it has to work. Because I do have a source of income, but then there's always a trade-off. And so there's the time trade-off. So what happened to me, you talk about, all this growth within the last 6 months. It actually started about a year ago. And it started with me finding out about Kathy Heller, which I know you've done some Kathy, that's how we met, Kathy Heller programs. And about a year ago, I ran across her about 2 years ago, but it took me about a year to finally buckle down and say, okay, I'm going to do a Kathy Heller program. And I
I
will
feel like
say,
that's how it works for a lot of us. That's how it worked for me too. It was like she was on my radar and I was like, whoa, what
yes,
is this? And then it was like, oh, I can't right now. Oh, I can't right now.
right?
Oh, I can't. And then finally I was like, no, I have to. I
Yeah,
have to. And it was
yeah,
like, I feel like some people are like, no, I'm all in right now. And some of us are the slow drip. And
yes.
that's how a lot of like people operate. And so when you are like launching a business and you feel, or like, you're running a podcast and you're like, I feel like no one's listening. I feel like no one's watching. Just wait because
Mhm.
they are. They
Mhm.
just aren't announcing their presence yet. And like you
Right.
have a bigger impact than you think you're having.
Oh my gosh, that is so, so, so true, so brilliant. And I do think about that in the back of my head when I look at, okay, I feel like I'm having a really slow growth. Other people who are watching me over 6 months are like, oh my gosh, you've started 5 different businesses, which I have. Not that any of them are doing anything successfully yet, but that's because I'm splitting too much of my time. But I do think about that. I think, okay, that's okay because I go back and I've actually done this. I went back to the very beginning of Kathy Heller's Instagram and I watched how long it took her, to get this huge following and to get, however many people to comment on her stuff. And I know my own journey with her that I listened to her in my circulation for like a year before I finally could commit,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
like it took me that long to believe that she was talking to me, like it's almost like you have a hard time putting yourself in the category of people that she believes this is possible for,
Yeah.
you think, oh, but I'm way out of her circle. I'm so far removed from who she's speaking to and who she's working with and who's on her podcast. And it took me a year to go, well, and her saying it over and over and over to go, no, 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 wait a minute. Why? Why am I any different than these women that are
And it's
showing up?
not and it's not because she wasn't speaking to you, it's because you don't believe in yourself yet. And it
Right.
takes us so long to
Oh,
start going, wait, me too? Wait, me?
right.
Wait, me? I can do this? And
Yep.
it takes us so long do we have to hear it over and
Oh,
over and
yep.
over and over again, which is why like podcasting is so incredible. It's because you don't have to say something new on every show. We need to hear those same truths over and over again. We need them pounded into our head that you can do it.
Right.
It's possible for you. Those dreams that you have in the back of your mind that you don't think could ever possibly work, guess what? They can.
That's
You
right.
also can have everything that you've ever wanted. It's possible for you too. You are worthy too.
Yes, every single woman listening to any of this, what you have to think about is if I'm not listening to women speaking this truth at a moment, okay? So I listen to podcasts on my way to work and on my way home and on my way to lunch and on my way back, and I listen to it as much as I can, but the larger portion of the day, they're not in my ear. And so I'm just in my own head telling myself how I can't, and
Mhm.
you you find yourself, even if I actually call myself pretty enlightened at this point because I have listened to it so much and I believe in it so much, and I've got my own mantras written down all over my house and at work and on my sticky notes on my phone and just everywhere. I have messages to myself that remind myself of my own brilliance and my own, superhuman strength and all of my own unique gifts that I need to be bringing out into the world. But the doubts still find their way every day, sometimes every second, every minute, whatever. And so you're so right. Every time I turn on a podcast or listen, read a blog or talk in my communities of women that I've become a part of, that helps fight the monsters. And I know you've been talking about monsters, and it helps fight, like our friend Mare talks about, the judgment dragons. And you're
Yes.
you're right. I've got to hear it multiple times to drown out the negative part, the doubt part, the fear part that comes up and tries to knock me off track.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like, I think 80% of our thoughts are those little negative things that come back over and over and over again. And it's not until you start really recognizing, like, just how many of your thoughts are that judgment piece coming up over and over again. And it takes so much inner work to start going, wait a minute, that's not true. Because I just assumed that that was reality for
Yeah.
so long. For
Yeah.
so long, I was like, no, that's just real.
Hmm.
That my perception of what I think other people are thinking of me, I'm just assuming that that's fact. I'm just going, oh no, other people are actually laughing at me. Other people are actually thinking all these terrible things. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't know that.
Right.
Actually, fact. That is this, negative false voice in my head that like doesn't even have any basis in reality at all, telling me this all day long. And then you start to go, wait a minute. Not only is it not actually true, that's so unhealthy for me to sit there and go, oh, that's true.
Hmm.
Wait a
Hmm.
minute. And the more that you can recognize the falseness of these claims, of your own unworthiness all day long, that this drip, 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 drip in your head,
Right.
the more you go, wait a minute, maybe I am awesome. Maybe I am worthy. Maybe I actually have potential. Maybe I'm kind of great. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
What if? And you said something that struck something with me. It takes inner work, but it also takes outer work. And what I have found from that is, yes, the inner work, I'm always doing on a daily basis. I meditate and I listen to all these podcasts, and I allow myself to do the work internally of like rebuilding my own strength and rebuilding my own belief system in myself, and like rewriting a potential future path for me, and like all of that inner work I do. But what really has changed over the last 6 months to a year is the outer work I'm doing, which is surrounding myself and curating what I'm listening to, what I'm exposing myself to, the people that I'm spending time with. So like these communities, I've talked about this on a couple other podcasts. Community is so important because if you're operating in a vacuum and trying to create this new dream for yourself, you will get lost. You will spin out and you will spin down into, I can't do it. This is too stressful. I can't understand this. I can't figure this out. I don't believe in myself. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. But if you surround yourself with a community of people that are doing similar things, that are walking similar paths and working on themselves and focusing on their future and figuring out how to get from point A to point Z, um, those people will will guide you and will pick you up. And, I know you have found this too, that when you're in the deepest, darkest, those are the people that shine the lights and say, wait, no, hold on, let me shine a light on what you're talking about right now. Do you realize this about yourself? Do you know this about yourself? I know you've just experienced this where you go through a hard time and you put it out there into this world that you've built. You've curated the world around you that will build you up and support you when you're feeling down. And so a lot of it is outer work.
Mm. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Because the outer work supports the inner work. And if you don't
Exactly.
have that structure in place, the inner work, like when you're so fragilely building up this new thing where you're like, okay, I've got this. I mean, I love how Mare, our mutual friend Mare, who's gonna come on this podcast, she hasn't scheduled with me yet. I don't know why. Which actually, I have a call with her right after this.
Oh,
So
good.
I know, just for friends, just to talk to her because she's
Oh,
incredible. She calls them judgment dragons. When those judgment dragons come, and she listens to every episode, so I know she's gonna hear this.
I love her.
I
Shout out
know,
to me.
she's like the best. She's like the best supportive friend ever. When those judgment dragons come and they're attacking you always, and your self-esteem is so fragile, where you're like, am I really good enough? Do I really have the strength to fight this dragon?
Mhm.
Do I? If you're alone in that fight, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's really hard to stand a chance in it. But when
Mhm.
you're surrounded by a whole bunch of people who are like, I know exactly how hard that fight is. Let me help you.
Yep.
I mean, we need those people in our lives. And I tell you what, if you are lacking that community, go listen to a podcast too, because those voices in your head will help you.
Yes.
Like there are supportive communities all over the place of people who will be like, let us help you. Let us support you. And it's really so important to know that you matter even when you're in your darkest place.
Yep.
That you have those people who will lift you, who will tell you, I mean, literally when I was in, I mean, I was in the darkest part of it. Like, I don't think I should be in this group of friends. I don't want to show up. I just want to crawl into a hole. And there you guys were going, do not give up. You belong here. You
Mhm.
belong teaching podcasting. You should be doing this. And it switched that because those judgment dragons were coming in telling me everyone's laughing at you, Karaleigh. Everyone's going, you shouldn't have been teaching this. We were all teaching podcasting the right way, right from the start. And you were coming in trying to show everyone the easy way. And you relied on this service that just crumbled underneath you. And I just had all these terrible things going on in my brain. And there were friends going, nope, that's not true. The things that your brain is telling you, they're not true. Ignore those thoughts. And you need that outside source. You need the people who are not in your head
Mhm.
to tell you where the truth is.
Yeah, so true. And I have found, this group of women, all in the Kathy Heller sphere, the what's her name? Kelsey Murphy,
Yeah.
Amy Porterfield, all these women that I follow. There's so many, and all these podcasts that I listen to. And it's funny because I have like a circulation of people that I listen to. And I always feel like they're like my girlfriends in my head, and I turn them on and I listen to them on the way to work. And it's like we're having a girlfriend chat. They don't know I'm there, but we're girlfriends.
Yeah.
And it does. It just builds you up. And this has been such a supportive. I have never been a part of a more supportive community where we are all cheering each other on. We're all shouting to the rooftops about each other, and when any of us feels down or is lost, there's always somebody there to go, oh, let me show you how to do that. Oh, here's how I figured that out. it's just the most amazing supportive group, and I just love it. And I really can't like express enough that my any I feel like any progress I have made has been like on the backs of all of you women. It really has. You've all been
Yeah.
walking with me, whether you realize it or not, because I have a full-time job. I have two teenagers. I'm busy. Things happen. I was horribly sick over the weekend, like praying for death. And so there's times where I may not show it outwardly and people may not realize it, but I am listening, I'm watching, I'm seeing everything you guys are doing. I like as much as I can, and you all are lifting me up whether you realize it or not. And you're progressing me because I watch what each of you are doing and how hard each of you are working. And yeah, it's just been amazing.
I love it so much. And I just want to say to anyone listening, like, join us.
Yeah.
Like, don't just be, an outside listener. Like, come and join us. And like, I'm like, how can people join us? I have a free Facebook group. It's called the Podcasters Support Network. Like, come and join us. Like, I don't even care if you started a podcast yet. Like, come and join us. Like, it's just like a place to be. Like, come and be a part of a group. Like, I spent so much of my life looking for friends, like not having friends and feeling like something was wrong with me because I didn't have friends. And eh, it's life changing
Yeah.
to feel that, kind of support. And that's what's so amazing about the internet and about how podcasting has changed me personally. It's like helped me get out of my shell and helped me to reach out to people and like talk to people and like come let it change you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I am a huge introvert. I call myself a high functioning introvert. But I am the type that avoids, I'm the type that will make a plan when I'm in Jennifer's extroverted head, or like I'll have like a spontaneous moment and I'm like, okay, I'll sign up for this thing. And then I dread it until the second before the thing happens. And then once the thing happens, for example, being on this, I have the most fun of my life. But then the second it ends, I need like 3 hours to calm down. That's the kind of introvert I am. But this has forced me so far out of my introversion shell than I've ever been in my life. And every experience I've had where I have forced myself to extrovert in these moments, whether it's being on someone else's podcast, whether it's interviewing somebody for mine, just meeting in pod groups, even like I have anxiety over it. And then it happens and I have the best time of my life. And so it's kind of interesting for an introvert that what I'm starting to see is the more of those positive experiences that I have, the more it actually starts to like close the gap of my anxiety the next time I schedule one. I'm like, okay, but I have all these positive, like it hit all my positive receptors.
Reinforcements. Yeah.
Exactly. For the last time this happened, I had such a wonderful time and it was such a wonderful experience. It's like starting to shorten my anxiety about it. It's kind of bizarre, but it's almost like introversion therapy.
I love it. And
Yeah.
I'm in this weird, like, I've been convincing myself my whole life I'm an extrovert, I'm outgoing, and then having this realization of like, no, I'm not. You put me in a room filled with people and I'm in the corner. Like, I am not the one who is the life of the party. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm like, I have no idea. I'm really great one-on-one, but like, or in a small group, I'm pretty solid, but like not the life of the party here. And I've always struggled with that. And this whole world of like figuring out who I am and speaking it out and like talking to people has just helped me in the most amazing, tremendous ways that it's just amazing. So I really want to hear more about like your journey and like how you went from this job to where you are now, which we haven't heard about yet, but I know because it's amazing. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually started with my children. Specifically my son. He will be 18 in about 2 weeks, actually 2 weeks
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
I know, it's hard to believe. And when he was 16, I started writing him what I thought was going to be a letter, but it has now turned into a book. So I started writing him a book, and through the course of that, I wanted to give it, it was going to be a letter, and I was going to give it to him when he was 16. Well, I had just way too much to say. So then it kind of started to morph into a book that I'm now going to give him when he's 18. Um, but I started to realize that what I was doing was trying to tell him all the things that I felt like I hadn't gotten to say. Like I started having moments of panic that, oh my gosh, he's gonna, be out of the house, and it's almost like you start to think you're just never going to get to talk to them again. But you do start to realize that your impact over them is going to disappear go away significantly, at least for several years before they kind of come back around and start hanging out with their parents again. Um, so I just started spilling out all the things that I wanted to share with him that I felt like I didn't get to say over my years with him, or that I wanted to make sure he knew what I thought about, what my beliefs were about certain things. And through that experience, it was like I was almost journaling to myself, wait a minute, I'm telling him this is the life I want him to live, but is that the life I'm living?
Mm,
It was like the perfect mirror of what they say about, preaching or practicing what you preach. I
yeah.
was not practicing what I was telling my son I wanted him to live in his life.
It was like
And
therapeutic journaling. This is
oh my
like,
gosh, right? I mean, because if you think about it, we always, when you're stuck in the middle of something, a question that I think is helpful to ask is, what would you tell your best friend to do if they were in the same situation? And the whole point of that is to get you to think outside of your own, again, your own monsters, your own judgment. Step outside of that and think, well, what would you tell your best friend to do if she were stuck in the same situation? Well, I'd tell her to do this and this and this. Okay, well, then why aren't you doing this and this and this? So it's kind of the same concept. It was like a mirror turned on me of, wait a minute, you're telling your son to live authentically, to live a life that he loves, to not care so much about what other people think, that at the end of life, what are you going to regret the most? You're going to regret not living life on your terms.
yes, it's
Um,
time to start living your own best advice.
Exactly. But then I'm looking at my life going, okay, I'm not doing any of that. I've been hiding in a basement for 20 years, not sharing my gifts, sharing my passion, sharing my creativity. Um, the people that have worked with me for 20 years probably have no clue half of what's inside of me,
Oh,
because I I call it living in my Jen suit. I have been living in a Jennifer suit. Actually, it's kind of funny. I call her Jennifer, but I'm Jen. Like I'm this whole other person. So I've been living in a Jennifer suit for 20 years, where I have kind of built this persona of this person. And it's interesting. The more I've learned about the body and mind connection and everything, I started getting really, really sick about 2 years ago. And I went on this journey of discovering that I have three autoimmune diseases.
whoa.
And when you look at people who aren't living life authentically, this is a story that occurs time after time after time, where you have people that are essentially living a lie. I mean, that version of myself is a part of me, sure, but it's a very small, sad, broken part of me at this point. Um, and I've just been living in contradiction to my true self, my true light, my true beauty, my true creativity, my true spirit, my true passion, like all of these things that when I get on and start talking about this with other people, and I start talking to other women about what they want to accomplish in their lives, there is a light like that bursts through me that doesn't happen in any other part of my career, my real career. So I firmly believe that the sicknesses that had started to experience over the last couple of years was my body saying, you got to wake up. You have to wake up and start living life, not shutting out this whole other part of you, actually the majority of you, and start living a true life. Start living in your true spirit. Because continuing to close all of that off, I think was silently killing me. And that, like I said, that's a really common story. I hear so much about that when I'm listening to people in this space and in this realm where they've gotten out of a corporate world, they've gotten out of a bad whatever, marriage, they've had therapy, or they've cured themselves over relationship issues, or whatever it is that we're shutting off parts of ourselves that need to be healed, that need to, live fully. Again, it's that inner work and that outer work. When you start doing that on yourself, you're like, wait a minute, I'm causing a lot of this. So anyway, the book, I'm, close to being done with that. And it got me thinking, this, like you said, this was therapy. It changed my life. It got me to start thinking about and researching, what do I really want to do with the next 20 years of hopefully a really good career? Um, what do I want to spend my time doing? Who do I want to spend my time around? And so that got me into the community of the Kathy Heller and the podcasting and coaching and digital courses. And this is the community that I want to start surrounding myself with. These are the women that I want to start talking to. And I want to bring other people along on this journey with me now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And the name of your podcast, because I want to say it over and over again, I love the name of your podcast, is
Shake Me Awake.
Shake Me Awake. I keep wanting to turn it into a song.
Oh,
Although the
we'll have
song
to
that
do
keeps
that.
coming to my mind is already made. The Take Me to Church song, except for I'm like, Shake Me Awake. Da, 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 da. Okay, sorry. That's the
Love it.
I want to like put the name of your podcast into that song with the heavy drum. Anyways, that's what
I love it. That's how I feel about it. I feel like
yeah.
shake me awake. Like it's really like a spiritual awakening. It really was for me. It was like, what am I doing with my life? And the other piece of that is I started thinking about, you know, what if I found out that I only had a year to live or 2 years to live or whatever?
Mm.
How would I live my life differently? And that's kind of where the shake me awake came from, is like, I have been sleepwalking through my life. And I, when you're starting a business or a podcast, you do the whole, oh my gosh, it takes forever to come up with a name. And you're doing the name searches and you're like, damn it, that one's taken. Dang it, that one's taken, that one's taken, that one's taken. And literally waking up from sleep one night, I woke up in the morning and it just came to me, shake me awake. Because I'm not a morning person, by the way, but it just absolutely hit me like a ton of bricks. And then I did the search and it was available, and I was like, that's it, shake me awake. But that's what it feels like. It feels like I have been shaken awake by, this experience that I went through, and I can't go back to sleep. I can no longer sleepwalk through my life and live this half life that I've been living.
Mm. Yes. Preach it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's time for us to wake up to, what our actual dreams are for our lives, and what do we want to do? Who do we want to be? And to stop, like you said, sleepwalking through life, because we're going to reach this point where we're like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened to my life, and where did it go? And we don't like it. It's time to start living the life we want to live, like now, like today.
Right. Right. How would you do it differently if you thought your time on earth was short? Well, guess what? It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's time to start living your best life today. It's official. Podcast Like a Mother is here. This is my podcast coaching program where I lead you one-to-one through the entire process of building your own podcast. I will guide you every single step of the way as you figure out what topic you want to talk about, what lights you up, and how to do the entire process beginning to end. I'm going to show you every single thing that I know, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to show you how to make podcasting fun and easy and sustainable. If you want to schedule a breakthrough call with me to see if this is the right next step for you, check out the link in the show notes. And the thing is like with so many people, especially moms, we get that. I know it's like we were like, oh no, that would be selfish. I'm supposed to be living for other people, but like the benefit to every other person around you when you are just lit up and awake and just so alive is extraordinary. It's amazing the effect it has on other people when you are shining your best light. It's unfathomable the the effect it has on other people. Like it's so good. It's so good. You can't even imagine like how much benefit it has for other people when you are shining your brightest.
And why isn't that what you want to be bringing to the table every day? Why, this other person that I am or that I show up as sometimes, I don't even care for her that much. It's like she's not this bright, lit up, shining light, not only into herself, but into other people. That's not who she is allowed to be because of the type of work it is. And so why wouldn't I want to show up supporting other women, supporting myself, And the thing that I've started to realize is it all comes full circle. So I started writing this book for my son. It made this revelation in myself, which then, if I start showing up in the world as who I truly want to be, and I, clear this path and I show my kids what is possible when you start showing up fully in your passion and your gifts and your authenticity, and you work hard and you bring to the world what you are fully made of, that shows them. So it all comes full circle. It shows them what we are capable of, what's possible when we
Mm-hmm.
don't settle for these
Yes.
sad, depressing lives that we create for ourselves out of this feeling of necessity to buy these things that nobody cares about. It's like this terrible, vicious cycle that we get in where we find ourselves 20 years later hating our lives. And so part of the book is really about asking my son, and I'll do one for my daughter too, but asking my son to start thinking at a younger age what really matters to him to get out of life. What
Mm.
really is going to matter to you at the end of 40 years or whatever. And yeah, he's 18, so it's going to be hard to get him to think about that right now, right? But if even an iota of it starts to sink in, if him watching me go through this process starts to sink in, and he's able to for that to open up and expand him to see what's possible when you live a different um recipe or whatever, because
Yeah.
there's this common recipe where it's sprinkle in a little college, sprinkle in a college girlfriend, sprinkle in marriage, sprinkle in kids, stir it all together, wait 20
Yeah.
years, and you're unhappy. And you
Yeah.
have
Mm-hmm.
a hard, disgusting loaf of bread, right? There's other recipes.
Yeah. Well, and I have this, I've got to share this example because it's very relevant to my life is that my husband's in his corporate job and he's struggling because he's a deeply creative, artistic soul who's so passionate and so authentic, and he's watching himself climb this corporate ladder, and he's watching his bosses who, come down from corporate, right? They come and they come praise his work, and then they go right back to their computers.
Ugh.
And it's just clack, 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 clack. It's like all they do. And then like the big boss flies back, and my husband's going, "Oh, I hope you like, took a day off or something in between all this travel." And he was like, "No, I'm back to work the next day." And my husband's like, "This is not a life. Like, what is your life about? Like, their lives are just work. Like, it's just numbers and money and work and job all the time." And my husband's like, "I do not want that for my life." And my husband's over there like with his artwork that he's painted hung up all over the walls of this office. And like they don't really, they're like, "Oh yeah, good job on the art." Like they don't really they don't really care one way or the other. And he's going, "They don't really see me. They're praising me for the numbers, but it's because he's so genuine. It's because he cares so deeply for the customers that come in, like, regardless of the bottom line. Like, he doesn't care about the numbers, he cares about the people and making sure that they walk away with like such a good experience. That's why his numbers are better than every other like every other branch in the area. Like that's why he's like the top 3, like one of the top 3 managers in the whole like nation, is because he doesn't care about the numbers. It's because he's got his artwork all over the whole branch. It's because he's taking walks barefoot while he's working. It's because he's so genuinely himself stuck in this corporate job, caring so deeply for these people. That's why he's succeeding in his corporate job, because it's not about the corporate job, it's about living a genuine life. And it's such a dichotomy. It's such a battle to like need that and still try to be your whole full self in it when any kind of corporate job just kind of has the tendency to just suck the authenticity and the you out of everything, right?
It does. You can't not be impacted by it. You can't.
Yeah.
And that is part of the government job that I am in. I spend almost all day seeing and listening to sad, horrible,
Yeah.
horrific stories of what's going on in our, in our city. And gosh, that takes it out of you over time. It really, really, really does.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I just literally like, was in Walmart buying the biggest bag of cat food that they had. And I was like, "We don't own a cat." There's a whole bunch of stray cats that like hang around his office because he feeds them. Because
Oh,
that's part of the thing. And like over the, time that he's been there, they've gone from like won't let anyone near them to letting him pet them. Because that's part of the humanity and the like compassion that he's brought to this, you know, white walled, black and white corporate, no, you know, right, like kind of
love it.
job. It's like that's what he's bringing in is I'm gonna feed the stray cats that come and I'm gonna love up on them and I'm gonna, and
You
it's like
know,
finding ways to bring life and love back into that world is it's so beautiful and it's so hard. And like so I just have so much like respect for him and for you and for everyone who's trying to stay sane and stay their creative whole authentic selves with that.
well, that's such a great point. I absolutely love that story. And it that's the thing. It leaks out of us. Those of us, and that's kind of part of it is I don't have anything bad to say about people who work in an office or work in a cubicle or crunch numbers or whatever. There are people that is totally their thing. And I love that because we need people like that in the world, right? And you can do it for a certain amount of time and there's job security and I've made good money, right? So there's reasons why it works for people. But when you are such a deeply creative person, like your husband is, like you are, like I am, it leaks out. Like we can't
Hmm.
not.
Yep.
I have, in every house I've lived in, I have had a space, whether it's a corner or a full basement, absolutely chock full of creative projects
Yeah.
because I'm my brain is constantly turning on creativity, and so ideas are spilling out of my head and into my basement in the form of, fabric or books or artwork or whatever project I'm working on at the moment is all over my basement. It's also the reason that I struggle with focusing when I'm trying to start my business. I've
Yes.
started 5 different businesses.
Yeah, tell us about those.
Well, none of them are really doing anything that successful. Like I have the podcast, I have a thrift resale business, I have a digital course that I'm working on for the book where I want to turn that into teaching other people how to, I'm calling it leave a living legacy for your kids, because the way
Mm,
I think of it is like, you can leave legacies behind when you die, right? Whether it's, inheritance or whether it's whatever you leave behind for your children, the life that you lived, whatever. But wouldn't it be great to leave them a legacy while you're still alive
an
to
on
witness?
purpose legacy.
Right, on purpose, living like, because I put in the document, I put in the book that this may change. This is subject to change because in 5 years, I'll be in a different place and I can, have, what do they call it when you release a new version of a book?
I don't know, like an update or a
Yeah,
whatever.
the updated version. This is version 1, version 2, or whatever. So I can update the book. So it's a living legacy for as long as I'm alive, which hopefully is a lot longer. But I want to teach people how to go through this process of writing a book in a formatted way, because I think some people will sit down and be like, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start. Well, I've done it, I've been through it, and I've gotten so much out of it for my own life that it's like a present to yourself and a present to your kid. And so I'm working on that. So I've got like a
Love
lot of
that.
different things going. But that's part of my problem is I have stifled my creativity for 20 years and now I'm finally letting it out and I'm having trouble like harnessing it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing and I understand it. Like creativity is so therapeutic. It is just incredibly important in our lives. And like creativity, like that's what I was using to get through the hardest times of my life. It's like I would be making things with my hands and like that's that's how you get through tough times. And so I think that all of those totally count. Like whatever on money, like you have all these amazing ideas and you're working so hard at them that they all completely count. And they're all like spokes on a wheel. They're all parts of you. And so they don't even have to be 5 different things. They're all just parts of you.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. That helps. Because I do feel like a certain stress of, okay, well, I've got to figure out what to focus my energy and time on. But something I'm really trying to think about is, okay, then you have to focus on what serves people. So, I love your story about the cats. It makes me think about like, okay, he saw these wild cats and what did he do? He served them. And now, they're coming
And
around and
and he
friendly,
sings to
right?
them.
Yeah, and he sings to them. I love it.
Yeah, he brings his ukulele down and he plays the ukulele to the cats and
That's
he's an
amazing.
amazing singer, so he sits there and practices his ukulele.
That's so amazing. So
He's
yeah, I mean, that's actually the point is, okay, what will serve people? What will bring people joy? What will help people? Um, and the job that I've had for 20 years is in public service. So I've been serving people for 20 years. So I got a lot of practice at it, just
Yeah,
not in the way I want to. And
yeah,
so
for sure. Well, and
now I feel like,
like I would say it's almost less about like other people and like what's serving other people. That's the second question. I'd say the first question is which one feels right?
Yeah.
Which one lights you up the most right now? Because that's where your energy is naturally going to go. And where your energy flows, that's where the magic's really going to happen. And so that's what I would say, because that's when I teach people things. It's like, where, number one, where's your energy just naturally like feeling like which one feels right? And then you start asking, what do people need? Because all of those areas are things that people need. You're going to be able to find something somebody needs in every single category. But first, you have to pick the one that really calls to you right now.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great point. Okay, I've got my homework cut out for me.
Yeah, and it can also change. Like you can get halfway through one and then be like, it's good for now. Now I'm gonna feel my way into something else for a minute. And because who knows, like go where the energy leads you and you'll never go wrong.
I love that. And
And sometimes your energy calls you to rest. And that's like totally valid.
yeah, that's true. Sometimes in the form of a sickness, your body says, okay, you're not going to listen, so I'm going to shut you down and
Yeah.
you
Well,
get
and
the
it's
rest.
sometimes it's in the form of like really bad news. And then it's like, the universe is gonna force you to rest right now, whether you wanted to or not.
It
And you're like,
does.
crap.
It totally does. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're so right. Like, and I've learned to think about the pursuit of any of these businesses as experiments,
Yes.
not I'm starting a business and it has to be serious and it has to be successful, and it's okay, I'm going to play with this idea. I'm going to experiment
Yeah.
with this idea. And so, yeah, letting it be guided by, okay, what is in my energy and heart right now that also serves people that I can experiment with. So
Chase the
that's a new way I'm going to reframe that.
yeah, chase the dream that starts chasing you back. But you can't know which one's gonna chase you back until you start chasing it.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it.
This has been so amazing. So where can people find you if you were looking for you? I mean, we've got your Shake Me Awake podcast, which is so good, and everyone needs to go listen to it right now.
Thank
But
you.
where else do you want to send people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am working on some new episodes for Shake Me Awake. I'm in the middle of interviews, so that will start really pouring out over the next few months. I have shakemeawake.com. And so right now, those also Instagram at Shake Me Awake Podcast.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'm so excited for all the amazing things that you're doing, and you've got so much ahead of you. And I have to ask one more question before we go. How how have you done all of this like as a busy mom? How have you been able to, you know, I hate the word balance, but like do the balancing act, with a full-time job and trying to start a podcast and, five different businesses because that's a lot, it's a little bit of a lot, and be a mom to two kids.
Yeah, gosh, I also hate the word balance, but what it
Teeter
really
totter is a better word. Where
right,
it's
I know it
up and
really
down
is.
constantly.
Fitting in. No, it really what it comes down to for me is commitment.
Mm,
Like I have had to tell myself like I commit to this week or this day. Sometimes it's day by day. Something that I am working on, admittedly, because I've said that I have a hard time focusing, is making a plan for what do I want to get out of this year of my time and energy, right? So at the end of the year, where would I like to see myself? Okay, so I'm working on the plan. So that's kind of the big picture. But then in the small picture, I've had to teach myself to commit to a certain amount of time a week. So I schedule time for myself. I've worked this out with my partner and I've let my kids know, like, okay, during these times, I have work time, I have my power hours or whatever you want to call them, where I commit to working on what I need to work on to work towards one of the businesses or, the book or whatever. Um, and then I write to myself every morning 3 things that I will get done that day. And
Mm.
I call those like next right steps. And so it might be a really small step. It might be something really small, like email this person back. If it's something that's weighing on me in the back of my mind where I'm like, God, I really got to get back to this person, or, ooh, I really need to change my Instagram bio today, or whatever, I have to write it down as the top 3 things I want to accomplish today because life gets away with you. Things get away with you. But in my planner, I have my 3 things written down, and I promise myself I will do at least those 3 things. And then I can be proud of myself when I mark those 3 things off. So that has actually really helped me. Sometimes it's just small tweaks, knowing your personality and what works for you, and then making some kind of small tweak and promise to yourself. So that's what's worked for me.
That's amazing. That is such good advice. I love that so, so much. That was so good. Do you have anything else you want to leave us with?
I just want to thank you for having me and thank you for the message that you're bringing to everybody. I mean, it's so true that as moms, we try to forget ourselves. We sacrifice to so many other people, and there's nothing wrong with being a mom who's trying to do these things for your life and for yourself because your kids are watching.
Yeah, and we want them to know that they are worth feeding to.
Exactly.
Because whatever you're showing, the example that you're giving of yourself, they're not learning from your words, they're learning from your example. And if they're learning that mom only gets scraps, they're learning that they are only worth scraps.
Exactly. And nothing showed me that more than writing the words to my son of how I wanted him to live, but living
Mm,
completely differently.
amazing. So everyone needs to go take your class when it comes out so they can
Okay.
learn how to write this
Well,
book that will change your whole life. So I
I
love
hope
it
so.
so much. This has been such a good, juicy conversation. Thank you again.
Thank you. I have loved it so much. You're always a joy to talk to.
Thank you. What an incredible episode. I absolutely just loved talking to Jen. She is such a remarkable person, and I just feel like a better human being after that conversation. So, anyway, here are my very favorite takeaways. Number 1, when you feel like no one is listening, when you feel like no one is watching, just wait. Because they are. They just aren't announcing their presence yet. You have a bigger impact than you think you're having. Number 2, we need to hear those same truths over and over and over and over again. We need them pounded into our heads. You can do it. It's possible for you. Those dreams that you have in the back of your mind that you don't think could ever possibly work, guess what? They can. You can have everything that you've ever wanted. It's possible for you too. You are worthy too. Number 3, it takes inner work, but it also takes outer work. Community is so important because if you're operating in a vacuum and trying to create this new dream for yourself, you will get lost. You will spin out and you will spin down to, I can't do it. This is too stressful. I don't believe in myself. But if you surround yourself with a community of people that are doing similar things, that are walking similar paths, like working on themselves and focusing on their future, those people will guide you and pick you up. When you're in the deepest, darkest, those are the people who will shine the light. Number 4, you gotta wake up. You have to wake up and start living a life where you're not shutting out the majority of you and start living a true life. Start living in your true spirit. Number 5, what am I doing with my life? What if I found out that I only had a year to live? How would I live my life differently? I've been sleepwalking through my life. It feels like I've been shaken awake by this experience that I went through, and I can't go back to sleep. Number 6, it's time for us to wake up to what our actual dreams are for our lives. What do we want to do and who do we want to be? And we've got to stop sleeping through life, because we're going to reach this point where we're like, what happened? What happened to my life? Where did it go? It's time to start living the life we want to live, like now, like today. And number 7, go where the energy leads you, and you'll never go wrong. Oh my gosh, I feel like that was the most power-packed 7 takeaways ever. That was so much power just jam-packed into those takeaways. I've adored this. Like, for real, guys, I was listening to this episode as I was prepping it to release it, and I was like, this was so good. And then I was like sitting in that conversation like, this is why I love podcasting so much, because I get to have these kinds of conversations. These are the kinds of moments that just like lift you so much, that like raise your vibe so much. So for sure, go check out Jen's podcast. It's the Shake Me Awake podcast. It is so good. Go to her website, shakemeawake.com. Go follow her on Instagram, Shake Me Awake Podcast. I mean, her energy is just phenomenal. She's incredible. I'm so grateful that I get to be her friend, because my life is better because she is in it. That's just the truth of it. I mean, friends like that are gold, you know? They really, really are. So I hope that you'll go follow her. If you feel like it, you can go check out my other podcast Like a Mother. The link's in the show notes. I also have my Snippet of Sunshine and the Easy Podcasting Basics cheat sheet over there if podcasting is something that, you know, lights you up like it does me, or if it's something you're curious about. I'd love, you know, to help you learn more about it. And then my website's KaraleigHgarrison.com. You can learn more about me and everything I'm up to. And then last but not least, I have the link for Magic Mind over there, which Magic Mind is amazing. It's helped me so much. So the link for that is magicmind.com. Make sure you use my code SEEKINGS20, and that link's also in the show notes. I hope you have just the most incredible day, and I will leave you with a song.
I am the tip of the iceberg. So